Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Cheat Meal presented by Deep Fried Draft. Um, Round 2 and 3, day 2 in the books. 107 picks of 253 are down. Um, some good value was to be had here in the second day. A lot of talented players slipped from the first round. Still some good players on the board. Anybody that's still left on the board that I had at the top, it's medicals that I didn't have a clue about. Um, and stuff of that nature. Um, so we'll get right down to it. I'm not going to review every single solitary pick. I'm just going to hit some of the keys. The Packers opened up the proceedings drafting a knee position. Kevin King, Washington, big, tall, lanky, rangy corner. DB was one of their biggest needs, and they addressed it there. Cam Robinson went to Jacksonville, moved up one spot, gave up a sixth-round pick to Seattle to get Cam Robinson, who could start at either tackle or guard for them this year. Seattle, moving back one pick, got Malik McDowell, my number 8 overall player, at pick 35. McDowell had some issues where the coaches said that he kind of freelanced a lot, and so that was their issues with him, and some effort, I guess, was called into question. Cardinals gave up pick 45, fourth-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and an 18 fourth-round pick to move up 9 spots to pick Budda Baker, one of the best safety prospects. Buffalo then in the next pick traded up 7 spots. Buffalo got pick 37 and a fifth. Carolina gets pick 44 and a third. Buffalo moved up to get Zay Jones, one of the most productive wide receivers in the history of college football, from East Carolina. It was also a great interview I had at the Senior Bowl. Go back and listen to that on my site. Chargers revamped their offensive line. They had a couple of great interior line picks with Forrest Lamp and Pat Elflein tonight to help out, try to keep Phillip Rivers upright. One of the first reaches on my board tonight was the Jets selecting Marcus May. I had Marcus May as the 95th overall player, but that's only because of injury concerns I had with May. But he seems to be fully recovered. The Panthers double dipped on offensive weapon type players. They had Christian McCaffrey in the first round at 8. They come back with Curtis Samuel at Ohio State, who's a wide receiver / running back / just get him the damn ball. And he makes plays, and he has 4.31 speed. Minnesota traded up from pick 48 with the Bengals. Swap picks. The Bengals got a 4th-round pick to move down. Minnesota gets Dalvin Cook, my number 1 running back and 10th overall player. Cook had some injury issues and some off-field stuff that brought him down. The Saints come back with a safety, Marcus Williams, who's a center field ball hawk. The Eagles took a draft and stash player, and Sidney Jones, who was a first-round corner, maybe even would have been the top corner drafted, if not for tearing his Achilles at his pro day. So tough break for him, but he'll at the very least start the season on PUP. And if I had to guess, he's not playing this year at all. The Rams, up to this point, had the biggest reach of the draft with tight end Gerald Everett from South Alabama. He's an undersized tight end with small hands. He has good speed, not great speed, but good speed. But this was a huge reach for the Rams with better tight ends on the board. The Bears took another tight end in Adam Shaheen from Ashland. He's everything that Gerald Everett's not, 6'6", 278. Very athletic, but played at Division II, which is why he's not more highly touted. Still about a round earlier than I thought for Shaheen. The Colts steal Quincy Wilson, my 19th overall player and number 3 corner. They get him at 46 here and pair him with Malik Hooker, who was another who fell in their lap in the first round. So the Colts are upgrading their defense through free agency and the draft. The Ravens, Tyus Bowser from Houston, tremendous Senior Bowl, great speed off the edge. The Ravens have added a lot of pieces on their defense. The Bengals made the controversial pick that everybody knew that they were going to make. It was no big secret. Everybody had in all second and third round mocks, they had the Bengals picking Joe Mixon because the Bengals just don't give a damn about what people think about how they are. I mean, they constantly, no matter how much dumb shit Pac-Man Jones does, he's a good person, this and that, and they don't cut him. And so, I mean, Joe Mixon's on video breaking a girl's face in 4 places. I mean, yes, it was 3 years ago. Yes, they seem to have settled and all this, but I mean, it just looks bad. I mean, it's just bad. It's just a bad look for an organization. But from just a football standpoint, maybe if this isn't on Joe Mixon's record, he's probably my number 2 running back behind Dalvin Cook, and it's really close. I would have said he's better than Fournette, better than McCaffrey, better than everybody else. Pretty damn even with Dalvin Cook. I really like Dalvin Cook. I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that. So talent-wise, Mixon compares to Le'Veon Bell, and I mean, if he stays clean, and this dude needs to go in and start just immediately. Any woman's domestic violence charitable organization this dude can do charity work for and donate money to, he needs to do it. Day one. First game check needs to go to Penelope House or something. Or something along those lines. A charity like that. But like I said, talent-wise, he's immediately the best running back on the Bengals team, and it's not close. And he allows them to expand their offense. Him and John Ross give them 2 weapon upgrades on offense. Ryan Anderson, a little surprising that he was the first Alabama edge rusher to go over Tim Williams, who would go later to the Ravens. Anderson, I was a little lower on than some. I just thought at the Senior Bowl, he just struggled getting off blocks. Poor effort, in my opinion, in the Senior Bowl practices. But, I mean, he can rush the passer when the light's on. So, Tampa Bay and Denver both went outside my top 100 with picks, back-to-back picks of Justin Evans, who's a safety who I don't think tackles very well, goes to Tampa Bay, and Denver picked DeMarcus Walker, who's an undersized defensive lineman. He's a nickel pass rusher on the inside, and he's very good at that, but his size caused me to be a little lower on him. The Browns come back and get quarterback Deshaun Kaiser, much to the chagrin of my buddy Pete Smith, who's not a big Kaiser guy, but he's the Browns guy. And whether the fan base likes it or not, it's who Hugh likes, and that's what it's going to be. Guy I really liked went to the Lions at 53. Ended up being my number 2 corner. Jalen Tabor goes, like I said, 53 to the Lions. 17th overall on my board. Ran a 4.62 at the combine is why he's available at 53. Dolphins, Raekwon McMillan, upgrade, probably an immediate starter at Mike linebacker for them. Giants get a run plugger in Dalvin Tomlinson. Good luck running up the middle on the Giants with them 2 hosses they got there. Now, no surprise, the Raiders took a physical freak in Obi Melifonwu, who tore up the combine. It's kind of what the Raiders do. Zach Cunningham, not necessarily a position of need, but is a tremendous player. Goes to the Texans at 57. Seattle gets the best center in the draft, Ethan Pocic. He can play all 5 offensive line positions if need be. Chiefs get a very raw but very talented defensive lineman in Villanova's Tano Passigno. Passigno looks like he was carved from stone, and like that, this is literally Passigno is literally the mold that you make when you want to design what a football player should look like. It's Tano Passigno. Cowboys get a nice pick in corner safety DB extraordinaire Chidobe Awuzie. Packers reach a little bit, but not much. Get safety Josh Jones from NC State. Steelers just stacking up, piling up receivers. This probably means the end of Sammy Coates if I had to guess. But they draft Juju Smith-Schuster from Southern Cal. I hate to question whether a guy should have come out early, but Juju may or may not have benefited from another year with Sam Darnold. Hell, I don't know. But he's a second-round pick going to Pittsburgh. Buffalo at pick 63 moved up, gave up a third, a fifth, and gave up a third and 2/5 to move up to 63 to draft Temple offensive lineman Deion Dawkins. Dawkins played tackle at Temple, played guard at the Senior Bowl, was announced as a tackle at the draft, and that may be where Buffalo intends to play him, but he's probably a better guard. Taylor Moton goes to Carolina at pick 64. Moton's another one that I think is going to be a good right tackle, could be a great guard. The Browns, this one made my buddy Pete Smith actually happy, drafting the huge ass of Larry Ogunjobi, defensive tackle from Charlotte. This dude is a big man, very smart. Ogunjobi, big man. Akello Witherspoon goes to the 49ers in the 3rd round at pick 66. I said I wasn't going to review every pick, and here I am reviewing every damn pick. But anyway, might as well. We're here now. Saints trade up. This is for pick 67. The Saints give up a 2018 2nd-round pick and a 7th-round pick in this year's draft, and they acquire Alvin Kamara, running back from Tennessee. So the Saints, a team that throws the ball 65% of the time, now has Adrian Peterson, Mark Ingram, and Alvin Kamara on their running back depth chart. So I guess the flip side to that is Mark Ingram's in his last year of his contract. Adrian Peterson's also probably in the last year of his contract. So it'll be Kamara's team in 2018 when they don't have a 2nd-round pick. Jaguars reached for DeJuan Smoot from Illinois. Okay off the edge, not great. Okay. Rams go for Cooper Kupp. A little slow at the combine, but great route runner, great hands. Rams needed receiver help, so there's that. I touched earlier on Pat Elflein going to the Vikings. Well, I said went to the Chargers, but he went to the Vikings. It was Dan Feeney was the other guard that went to the Chargers. So Chargers beefing up that interior line with my top 2 guard prospects, actually. Both of them going to the Chargers there. Titans, they drafted Corey Davis in the 1st round. They put him with Taywan Taylor, Western Kentucky, who's a tremendous route runner, great feet. So Titans upgrading that offense for Marcus Mariota. Bengals sit tight, needed an edge rusher. They get one at 73 with Jordan Willis, a guy who I had mocked in the 1st round. A lot of other people did as well. Tremendous week at the Senior Bowl. Tremendous combine where his combine numbers comped him to Jadeveon Clowney. He's not Clowney, but I mean his numbers were very similar to Clowney's at the combine. Ravens acquire Chris Wormley a 5 tech, if I've ever seen one, from Michigan. Duke Riley, 3-year special teamer at LSU, 1-year starter, was very good as a 1 year as a starter. Tremendous game tape against Alabama this year. Had a good week at the Senior Bowl. Saints come back at pick 76 and are banking on Alex Anzalone staying healthy. When he's healthy, if he would have had a clean bill of health, Anzalone's probably a late first, early second round pick. As it stands now, he goes in the middle, early portion of the third round. But he's had shoulder issues, but he's a tremendous ball player. Panthers, I believe it here, pick 77, trade up, give up pick 98 in the third round and pick 124 in the fourth round so they can pick Myles Garrett's running mate, Deshaun Hall, who's a tremendous pass rusher in his own right. Ravens, I mentioned earlier, get my number 14 player on my board, Tim Williams. He had some off-field and some medical concerns, I believe. I definitely know about the off-field. Another Alabama player goes. There was 9 of them total went in the first 2 rounds, one short of Ohio State last year, who had 10 in the first 3 rounds. But Jets reached for Ardarius Stewart, speedy wide receiver, inconsistent at best. Colts draft Terrell Basham, a high-effort, high-motor pass rusher from Ohio. Redskins get a potential stash player in Fabian Moreau, who tore his pectoral muscle while doing the bench press at his pro day. But he's a very good cornerback. Broncos get Carlos Henderson, wide receiver, Louisiana Tech, my number 49 overall player. And Henderson had more missed tackles than any player in college football this year. And any prospect in this draft by a wide margin wasn't close. The Patriots traded back with the Titans, acquired a 3rd and a 4th round, this pick 83 and a 4th round pick 124, which I think they ended up trading in another move. And they gave up a 6th round pick and they moved down from pick 72, and they get my number 24 overall player and one of my favorite players in this draft, Derek Rivers, edge rusher from Youngstown State. Tremendously productive player, dominated his level of competition, dominated the Senior Bowl, dominated the Combine. Like I said, I would even dare say if he had a Y on his helmet from BYU and not a Y on his helmet from Youngstown State, he's probably a first-round pick. But as it stands, he's a Penguin, not anywhere else, and so he falls to the 3rd round to the Patriots because that's what the Patriots do. Buccaneers, if I'm not mistaken, traded up. Or no, maybe not. This might have been their stand pat pick, but they acquired Chris Godwin, wide receiver from Penn State. He's an excellent jump ball receiver. Had a tremendous game in the Rose Bowl against Southern Cal, where he bailed out quarterback Trace McSorley I don't know how many times. But just continue to add weapons for Jameis Winston. They get O.J. Howard in the 1st round. They signed Deshaun Jackson in free agency. So, good pick there by the Buccaneers. Patriots come back. They traded up with Detroit, gave up pick 144 and pick 96 in this round to get Antonio Garcia, tackle from Troy. I didn't like Garcia as much as a lot of other people did. I didn't see a guy who dominated his level of competition like some people did. Just wasn't my cup of tea, but he'll go to be coached by one of the best offensive line coaches in football in New England. Chiefs traded up, pick 86. They gave up 3rd round pick 104, 4th round pick 132, and 7th round pick 245 to Minnesota to draft Kareem Hunt, who is a tremendous running back prospect with breakaway speed and good vision. Can improve in the pass game. but as a runner, he's great. The Giants go quarterback, Davis Webb. He was the 5th quarterback taken in the draft. He was my 5th rated. Well, no, he was my 6th rated quarterback. So I had him behind Nate Peterman, who's still not drafted. Raiders at 88 pick upside defensive lineman from UCLA, Eddie Vanderdoes. Vanderdoes plays, has some effort questions, but when he's on, he also can play reckless at times, but you can't doubt his talent. Texans pick Deontay Foreman, running back from Texas. Seahawks come back with Shaq Griffin, speedy corner from UCF. The Rams take John Johnson, a safety from Boston College. And the Cowboys take Jordan Lewis, who has some domestic violence issues himself, from Michigan, which is why I had him lower on my board. I had him at 152 on my board because of those issues. Packers take Montravius Adams from Auburn. Adams is available at pick 93 instead of, say, pick 33 because of his just wildly inconsistent play. Dominated at times in 2016, but in 2015 he just wasn't even there half the time. Steelers take versatile defensive back Cameron Sutton from Tennessee. He's a guy that I was higher on after the Senior Bowl. Then I went back and watched a little more tape and kind of brought him down a little bit. He's had some injury issues this season. Seahawks and the Lions come back at pick 95 and 96 and draft 2 players that weren't on my top 300 big board. Seattle takes Delano Hill, safety from Michigan, and the Lions take Kenny Golladay from Northern Illinois. So those were at this point in the draft, the 2 biggest reaches on my board. The Dolphins get Cordray Tankersley, another up and down corner prospect. The Cardinals get what could be a sleeper wide receiver in Chad Williams. Had a good week at the NFLPA game. He's called up to the Senior Bowl, gets in a fight his first day in Senior Bowl practice, but he had a good week. So Chad Williams has a chance to make an impact in Arizona. The Eagles take Rasul Douglas, a long, tall, albeit inexperienced corner from West Virginia. He was up and down at the Senior Bowl. Titans, with the last pick in the top 100, selected Jonnu Smith, tight end from FIU. Smith kind of got lost in the shuffle in a deep, talented tight end class. Also had an issue earlier in the season when his I hope it's his now ex-girlfriend, dumped a pot of boiling water on him, and he had some burns, causing him to miss like 3 or 4 games. But he had a good week at the Senior Bowl, showed out there. In my top 100 projections, I had 83 players drafted in the first 100 selections. That's a personal best for me, so I'm proud of that. Beats my then best of 82, and so happy about that. So let's get back to the picks. Broncos select Brendan Langley, a corner from Lamar. Had some issues at the Senior Bowl, got beat a lot on some deep passes. He's a former player at Georgia where he transferred back. Nazir Jones, consistency issues there for the defensive lineman from North Carolina. He goes to Seahawks at 102. Saints finally pick an edge rusher at 103. It's their 6th pick, by the way, in the first 3 rounds, but they only have 1 pick tomorrow. But they get Trey Hendrickson from Florida Atlantic. Had a great week in the Shrine Game. Showed out at the Combine. Saints still not the best value here, but there was some other edge rushers on the board that I liked better. The 49ers made the most LOL pick of the first 2 days when they selected C.J. Beathard, quarterback from Iowa. Beathard was my number 18 quarterback prospect. I saw him try to throw a 15-yard out into the wind in Senior Bowl practice in Mobile that landed about 4 yards in front of the receiver. He had probably, if not, he didn't have the weakest arm at the Senior Bowl. That dubious distinction belonged to Sefo Lufau, but C.J. Beathard was bad, and he's a bad quarterback, and I have no idea why the 49ers picked him, but here we are. So 49ers up to this point had earned a lot of goodwill with me on my value board, and they just threw it in the shitter with this pick of Beathard. He's terrible. Steelers with a feel-good pick here with James Conner at pick 105, the running back from Pittsburgh, overcame cancer and then returned to the field this year and had a good season for the Panthers. My only problem with this pick, and I get it, you're the Steelers and you pick a Pittsburgh kid and it's a good story, but there were at least 10 better running backs on my board available here for the Steelers there if that's where they're going to go. The Seahawks come back and get a solid receiver in Amara Darboh, who can be a number 3, number 4 wide receiver for Seattle, I think. And the Buccaneers get potentially a draft and stash player with Kendall Beckwith, a linebacker from LSU, who would have been in my top 50 if not for a torn ACL in, I think, November. So, but he's a guy who is probably not going to be ready for the start of the season. At best, probably starts on PUP. At worst, goes on IR for the year. But could pay off. Could pay off dividends for the Buccaneers down the road. All right, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 trades tonight for teams moving up and down, wheeling and dealing on the board. So active night on the trade market there. Who is the best available players going into tomorrow morning? Elijah Qualls, who I'm apparently way higher on than a lot of other people, nose tackle from Washington. Carl Lawson, who's got some hip issues, that's definitely bringing him down. Caleb Brantley got arrested earlier this month, and the police report came out about a week before the draft. I had already turned in my rankings. I knew he was screwed. Nico Saragusa is a very niche guard I like a lot, but he's definitely needs to go to a power run team, and there's only so many of those that have slots available, so that's why Nico Saragusa is here. Malachi Dupree, inconsistent at LSU. Desmond King, position out of play, I guess, is his deal. He's played corner at Iowa, but projects to safety at the NFL level, and I guess that's got some teams spooked. Samaje Perine and Wayne Gallman, Oklahoma, Clemson, respectively, are 2 running backs that are just getting pushed down. Don't know what the deal is with Jaleel Johnson from Iowa. Jordan Leggett is I think teams are concerned with the scheme at Clemson. Bucky Hodges is another, just where does he play? I thought Josh Reynolds would have gone in the first 3 rounds. Receiver from Texas A&M. Tanzel Smart, undersized defensive tackle. Carlos Watson, just a flash. Watkins, a flash player, inconsistent. Clemson. Nate Peterman's a quarterback I definitely thought would have went ahead of C.J. Beathard. Of course, I thought 12 other quarterbacks should have went ahead of C.J. Beathard. Eddie Jackson, coming off an injury at Alabama late in the season, keeps him down. And Marlon Mack, system running back, I guess, the way he's just, maybe just people don't think his game translates to the NFL as well. Joe Mathis, injury concerns, bringing him down. Donnell Pumphrey, size, got him down. Ryan Switzer, size, as well. So let's go. I'll hit the top three position by position. Who's left on the board? Top three quarterbacks available: Nate Peterman, Pitt; Brad Kaya, Miami; Josh Dobbs, Tennessee. Running backs: Samaje Perine, Wayne Gallman, Marlon Mack, and then Danielle Pumphrey. Wide receivers: Malachi Dupree, Josh Reynolds, Ryan Switzer. Tight ends: Leggett, Hodges, and Jake Butt from Michigan, who tore his ACL in the Orange Bowl. Offensive tackle: Roderick Johnson, Florida State. Inconsistent: Zach Banner, moves like a battleship. Julian Davenport, Bucknell, inexperienced, level of competition. Guards: Siragusa, talked about him earlier. Dorian Johnson, injuries. Asiata, injuries from Utah. Top centers: Orlowski, small. Chad Wheeler, injuries. Cameron Tom, small. Carl Lawson, talked about him earlier, got hip injuries. Joe Mathis, injuries. Keontae Davis, level of competition, I think, has him down. Defensive linemen, spoke about Qualls, Brantley, and Johnson earlier. Linebackers: Anthony Walker from Northwestern, Vince Beagle from Wisconsin, Elijah Lee from Kansas State. The top there. All the corners I had in the top 100 were drafted. The next three are your nickel slot zone type corners: DeMonte Casey, San Diego State; Corn Elder from Miami. Now, Howard Wilson from Houston, I think his attitude issues is what's got him in the position he's in. Safeties, I spoke about King and Eddie Jackson. Josh Harvey Clemens, the next one after that, he's got off-field issues. So that's going to wrap up our recap, and this has been a very long video, I would imagine. So if you made it to the end, congrats, good on you. But thanks for watching. I do appreciate it, and I do appreciate everybody that's visited my site. In the last 6 months, I've had record page views and Deep Fried Draft have gone up each month the last 6 months, and I can't do that without you and everybody that's that visits my site either through Twitter, Facebook, directly, anywhere else. How do you get here? I know I get a lot of traffic from great sites like Draft Countdown, the Huddle Report, Great Blue North Report, Fanspeak. All these sites funnel a lot of traffic my way, and I appreciate every bit of it. I love the draft, and I love doing this for everybody that watches and reads and listens, and every way else that you consume whatever it is that comes out of my mouth and my mind. And I appreciate all of it. Just follow me on Twitter at Deep Fried Draft. Find me on Facebook, facebook.com/DeepFriedDraft. Watch this video and other videos just like it on YouTube. And bumpers, download the app in the App Store, either Android or iPhone. Subscribe to there so you can hear the various podcasts and notes and stuff that I put on there. It's a good little format to hear some quick hitting analysis, if you will. But it's 11:30. I'm on like 4.5 hours of sleep, so I'm dog tired.